Good evening, everyone. This is Talia Wally, Certified Wellness and Health Coach, and it is Wisdom Wednesday. Today, we're going to continue with the theme of Diabetes Awareness Month, and I have a special guest to share with you today. Her name is Heather. She's a great friend of mine, a business partner, and also the mom of a type 1 diabetic. So we're going to do a little interview here, ask her a few questions, enlighten you guys with a little bit of information about type 1 diabetes. And here we go. Hi, Heather.
Hello.
So tell me, when was your son diagnosed with type 1?
Justin was diagnosed on March 19th, 2014. He was the age of 8, and our youngest was 5 months of age. So it was a pretty crazy time for us.
Wow, that sounds like one not too long ago. Plus, you had your hands full with a 2-month-old, you
He
said?
was 5 months.
5 months old. Whew. And then to have a diabetic on top of that, must have been a whirlwind of a transition period, shall we say.
Yeah, we actually camped out in the hospital for 4 days, and Evan was able to be in a crib in the room with us because I was nursing. Unfortunately, with Justin's diagnosis, the stress was so great for my husband and I that I lost my milk production. And we didn't know it for a couple of days, so we had to transition Evan over to formula and have a crash course in diabetes care to take care of our newly diabetic son.
Oh my gosh, Heather, that's so
Yeah.
much to have to deal with in one time frame.
Yes,
You're
it was.
strong.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's people don't realize how emotional and how difficult things can be. So this is why we're here doing this.
Yeah.
So how did life change after that?
God, that's a kind of a tough question, but it's an easy question all in the same. It changed forever. Everything changed. Our carefree, spontaneous life was gone. The fear of, a real life fear of your child dying. Every parent worries about their kid, their children, but I slept with him the first year because I didn't want him to die in his sleep. But carefreeness has changed. You go from, sure, you want that snack, or let's just go to the store, or let's just go to the beach, to, oh my gosh, I have to count every single carb, and I have to, monitor anything that goes into that child's mouth, and I can't just mindlessly give him something or cook. And you can't just go anywhere anymore. You have to maintain. Do you have insulin? Do you have all of the supplies that your child needs? Life completely changed. And I think that the responsibility of a child is great, but the responsibility of a child with type 1 puts a constant stressor on you as a parent, not only because their life is physically in your hands, but because you are so devastated that your child has to live with this every single day. So it was a huge change for us, and we actually, we went into survival mode, and we're actually just coming out of survival mode. It's been about almost a year, a little over a year and a half, and life gets better. So for those of you that have type 1s or that know anyone that gets diagnosed, the very first year to year and a half is probably the toughest. We lost friends, we lost, because we just hunkered down and we just protected our family, and it was so overwhelming to take care of him and to learn everything about it. We're still learning every day, but you have to protect yourself, and you have to protect your marriage, and you have to protect your child, and we did that, and now we're finally, getting out and focused on a very healthy life. But it took a while. It took a long while for us to do that. So life changed for the worse at the beginning, but we have found a way now to focus on the true blessings of everything. Our family is stronger. Our family doesn't take things for granted like we used to. Not that we did a lot before, but even more so. We are so health conscious, more than we ever were in our whole life. And we do things that are best for us. I'm a very giving person, but I always gave to everybody else before I even thought of my own well-being or my family's well-being for the most part. And we do what's best for us first. And that was, and we're just so grateful. And we also have taught Justin that no matter what life throws your way, you can survive and you can do whatever you set your mind to, and made him a lot more compassionate and understanding of others' difficulties.
That's excellent, Heather. So it sounds like you really obviously had quite a change. Your whole entire life changed. You can't just go out with a normal kid anymore. You've got to think about what they're going to eat, when they're going to eat, have all the supplies on board, have food, have supplies. Nothing's normal anymore. And it sounds like you've been able to take all of that, get accustomed to it, and then transition it and find the good in something that's really not very nice at all.
Yeah, I think you have to. You don't have any choice, because if you let yourself get down a hole like that, your son or your daughter or whoever is not going to understand that life goes on, and you have to take whatever cross you're given to bear and make the best of it. I remember when he was first diagnosed and we didn't have all the technology that we have today, and we went to do an exchange for his suit for his first communion, and he was standing next to me in line at JCPenney, and I was waiting for the person. I'm like, hurry up, I need to get, where I need to get back in the car. And he literally collapsed onto me because he went so low in the store. His blood sugar went so low, and I didn't have anything with me.
Wow.
So it can be scary, and we don't sleep anymore. We get up at 12 and 3 every night, and I will do so every night for the rest of his life. Most likely, even when he's in college, I'll probably call him at 3 and check his blood sugar, depending on what the technology is then. And you have to think about babysitters and different things. You can't nobody knows how to manage your child's diabetes like you do. So life changes. My husband and I had to figure out a way to be able to be a couple and to get out and to go do things and to be comfortable leaving our son. And as he ages and as technology, gets better, we're now able to do certain things.
Right.
Not that what we would do or what most parents take for granted or what we took for granted before he had diabetes.
Sure, absolutely. And it's a step-by-step process, obviously, and it looks like you're doing just that. And you're a great role model for other parents.
No, thank you.
So briefly, because I know it can be very overwhelming and challenging, but what does a typical day look like for you and for your son in the diabetic world?
A typical day for Justin is it's a numbers game. So that number means everything, and it's not good or bad, it's just what's going on in your body right at this moment. So he has to get up, and the first thing we do is check his sugar. So he pokes his finger, checks his sugar, and we have to give insulin or not. It's always an art, it's always a choice, it's always what are all the factors that are going on. Did he do too much exercise? What is he going to eat? So on and so forth. He'll have his breakfast, he'll eat, we'll manage and watch those sugars and see how he does and see how his numbers do. And then he goes to school, but he has to go see the nurse. If there's any symptoms, if he has any symptoms of high or low, if his body's changing really rapidly, he doesn't feel good because of his blood sugar range, he has to see her, he has to go down and see her before lunch, he has to see her before snack, he has to see her before any exercise that is, like gym, anything more than a normal exercise in his day. He has to check with her before he leaves to make sure his number's safe so that he can go home. He checks his numbers. We have to manage he rock climbs, and so we have to make sure that we set him up for success for rock climbing, whether he gets really good healthy snack and manages insulin levels for that duration of rock climbing so that he doesn't go low. And then we manage his dinner, and he has to check his numbers throughout the day. He probably has 8 finger pokes a day. And then we set him up for success for bed. And we manage his blood sugars to bed, and then mommy and daddy take over at night and check him at 12 and at 3 every night to make sure, basically he doesn't die in his sleep, but to make sure his numbers are good throughout the night. So in all actuality, with minus the pokes and the checks and the managing and the watching all the numbers, he has a normal day, but it's a lot of interruption in his day. And we go into class and see at each class kind of what's going on, or why is Justin eating all the time, or what does Justin have that thing attached to him, and we answer questions. And there are some times where kids will be like, what's diabetes, and what do you do, eat too much sugar, and some people can be cruel, but I found that most of the time it's just ignorance to the disease, and they get nervous and they don't know what to say. And he just manages it, and he's not a victim. he likes rock climbing, he loves spaghetti and meatballs and pizza, and he just happens to have type 1 diabetes. So that's how we focus on it. It doesn't define him.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, like I said, you've been a really good role model for others as well as for your son, because you've raised a kid that doesn't let things stop him,
No.
and he knows what's good and what's bad for him, and together as a family, you make things happen.
We do
So
our best.
you're doing great. And what's my favorite saying? What do you say when I introduce you sometimes to people? You said I'm a mom of 2, and I am?
My full-time job is a human pancreas, and I am a mom, but my full-time job is running human pancreas for my son.
Love it. You keep doing what you're doing, Heather. Thanks so much for sharing, because I know it
Thank
wasn't
you.
easy.
Yeah.
And till next week, see you then.